Zach and Amanda, thank you for joining me, but I actually have a question for Tom. Tom, who are the 6 people that you're predicting for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series?
This is going to be a little tough because I kind of run out of really good opportunities around 5 or 6. It certainly looks like
you've only got to pick 6.
Got to pick 6. I think that Sterling K. Brown will repeat. He's had a really terrific year, and I think that he is still hot enough to be able to do it for another year. But I got to say, Milo Ventimiglia is coming up on the outside, and he had an especially dramatic year, and a lot of the focus of the storylines were on him. So he's got tapes, submissions. And I think they're the 2-man race, but I would not count out Matthew Rhys.
Can I shoot him down now? Can I do it right?
Yeah, sure.
Who are your other 3 predictions?
Oh, yeah, go for
it. All right. I'm thinking that Jason Bateman is probably talked himself out of a nomination. I think Freddie Highmore has a chance to get in. I think he's well liked. And even though I think people are mixed on this show, it's a difficult role. And for someone so young to pull it off, he may get rewarded. And I'm not. I think that Liev Schreiber will be coming back probably, but that seems more like a force of habit nomination than actually anything he did. And then I'd probably say Jeffrey Wright. Kicking him upstairs is not a bad idea, and he was so much the focus of this season's storyline. Is he the robot or is he the human? It was, and you could tell his stage training. He really knows how to pull it back and let it out when he has to. So those would be my 6 right now.
So you don't have Kit Harington. Do you also not have Emilia Clarke?
I don't. No.
Okay. And why is
that? It's because I've had Emilia Clarke in all season, and I just swapped her out for Sandra Oh. It may be a mistake, but right now Amelia's at 33-1. I mean, she's probably a good bet if you want to take a chance. But I think that O is on a hot streak right now, and I'm doubtful that there'll be a whole lot of Game of Thrones acting nominations.
Okay, so you missed our pre-chat, but Sterling K. Brown has not lost an award since 2017 at the SAG Awards when he lost twice. So at this point, everybody knows he's got something. There's no doubt in anyone's mind he's got 2 awards. Mm-hmm. He's got something. And then he wasn't the center focus this season.
No, he wasn't.
Where maybe his movie career could help him if his biggest competition wasn't Milo Ventimiglia. So this to me really is, who do you think's in 3rd? So Matthew Rhys might just be in the luckiest position of all, and he could just sneak in there and take this, honestly, because I really think this time they could split the vote, because we know the Super Bowl episode is the episode of the season. Let's face it. If anything's going to get in, we've already talked about this, it's that episode. Where last season, the episode was Memphis.
Yes.
So I think the fact that Sterling's episode of the 3, of the number 1, 2, and 3, his was the weakest of them personally. Story-wise, it just wasn't, it didn't have as much heft. And that's okay in these ensemble shows. But I don't know if Milo can win, but I think he could do enough damage to Sterling K. Brown, on top of the fact that everyone knows Sterling K. Brown has won an award. And when you've won that many awards, history does not favor you to continue to win. Actors are not going to be like, let's just keep awarding him. Come on. I have Matthew Rhys in, obviously. I don't have Freddie Highmore in because I have seen on many a medical show the Alzheimer's doctor. To me, I'm
Asperger's, yeah.
Asperger's. Excuse me, I can't remember which one.
I hope it's not an Alzheimer's doctor.
Oh my God! Well, I've seen that one too.
That's a great performance.
You watch season 18 of ER, and they definitely had somebody with. But yeah.
Well, that show had Alzheimer's by then.
Yeah, but we've all seen if you watch enough of these medical shows, there's been an Asperger's doctor on ER. There's been one on Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if these medical shows are impressive enough personally that he can get in. And I don't know why they would find this impressive and not his past characters. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think like Liev Schreiber, until he's out, I'm going to keep predicting him. I don't know why they keep nominating him, but good for you. I agree with you on Jason Bateman. His mouth will cost him a nomination. Yeah. And then I really think Jeffrey Wright would win supporting if he stayed supporting this season. He's a lead, but he's not really. He's not in everything. He's not even in every episode. But I have Kit Harington in. Mostly on stubbornness because it was my idea for them to promote themselves to lead. I wrote that article. I keep retweeting that article saying, I told them they were going to do this. They're reading Gold Derby, so.
It's your fault.
It's my fault. But if it happens, then I am taking all of the credit. You guys are never going to hear the end of it. So that's my 6.
Okay, Zach, how do you differ?
Well, I actually, as of right now, I am predicting that Matthew Rhys will win because of, and I talked myself out of predicting Sterling K. Brown last year because I said that vote splitting was going to be a factor. This year, I think it actually is going to be a factor. Come here, girl. Come here. Sorry, my dog is going through my trash. My
dog's not behaving either. So.
If an actor from This Is Us is going to win lead actor, I think it would be Milo this year. But we have seen over and over and over again that the Emmys love to repeat. So Sterling K. Brown is going to still get a significant number of votes. I mean, it's not as if he's going to just step back from campaigning for an award just because like this was his TV dad's year. So I think that we could see Matthew Rhys be like the Kyle Chandler of this year where he won for the final season of Friday Night Lights over, John Hamm, who hadn't won yet for Mad Men. So I think that's what I'm predicting as of right now. I'm going to wait and see how well the Americans does in terms of nominations to call it a sure thing. But I've got those 3 in my predictions. I've got Jeffrey Wright. I've got for right now Freddie Highmore, but he is somebody who I think is incredibly vulnerable, not because of his performance, but because the show is not the most critically acclaimed show on television. And I think that, I think if this show had premiered in 1997, he would be a sure thing for a Best Actor nomination. But
absolutely,
with peak TV as it is right now, I think he's vulnerable. I don't have Liev Schreiber in right now, but I think I'm going to take Freddie Highmore out eventually and put Liev Schreiber in there. I'm going with this is just my fanboy thing talking, but I'm going with Jonathan Groff right now for Mindhunter.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know it's not likely to happen, but as of right now, I'm just going to will it to happen. Kit Harington, I think, funny enough, I know, Amanda, you wrote that wonderful item about encouraging him to go lead, but my God, if he were in supporting, he would get in a heartbeat. Yeah. Just for how barren that category is.
It is a little bit more fair for somebody like Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who had an amazing season.
I agree, yeah.
And wouldn't get in otherwise. And I still think he can get in. Mm-hmm. I won't say much more about this, but I'm disappointed in Starz Network. I think if they really, really put all of their money behind getting J.K. Simmons in and were pushing this hard, they could get him in. I mean, they absolutely could have cracked an Oscar winner into this top 6, and they might still do it, but I don't think they've done enough for a smaller network to get somebody into a serious race. And I just think it's a little disappointing because really they could have gotten him in. He could be higher than 9th place. But
what about Ed Harris for Westworld? He didn't get in last year in supporting. He's in lead this year.
I think he should have stayed supporting, and he really would have had a chance to win, because not to spoil the season finale, but you're like, what's going on with Ed Harris? Like, he really...
What's going on in general?
Well, I know, but like that, but I'm talking about that post-credit, the mid-credit scene, which I think is brilliant of them to use. I think that's so smart. I wish they would just submit one episode, but I think he would have had a better chance in supporting. But then they have like 6 guys that they have to worry about in supporting. So
I counted 27.
I know, but like let's face it. There's like 3 of them that really have a decent chance at it.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute.
I do like in the Stars DVD box set how they have all their shows, and then for like say Outlander, it'll say for your consideration, then it'll list the acting categories, and it's like that for all the shows except for Counterpart and Howard's End, where it says also writing and directing. So that kind of lets you know like these are the shows that are actually serious about. I'll go through.
He plays 2 characters. I think that's one of the things. Like they really needed to push for him. I know they don't listen to me. I know they kind of listen because they did submit the episode I told them to in like 4 hours of chats about Outlander for costumes. But that's another subject.
One time.
Yeah, I don't have Liev Schreiber in because, he's been nominated for a long time. Eventually, he's going to fall out. And it's not like he's been nominated forever either. He did miss for the first season. I do have Jason Bateman in because I think that he was so secured for a nomination that even if he's less strong than he was, I don't really know why Ozark is in the conversation when it's so derivative. I chalk it up to goodwill for Jason Bateman, and thus I think that he still has enough left to get in. I also have Jonathan Groff because, I'm predicting Mindhunter in series and directing. Probably gets none of those, though. But
I love that you're putting it out there, and if you 2 are right, I'm going to be very happy that you have willed this into submission.
Us and Daniel Montgomery.
Yes, Daniel with his once a week FYC. I'm just kidding.
It's a terrific show. My God. I mean,
I love that show.
Yeah, it deserves
I wish
nominations.
Anna Torv would get nominated, but that's probably, we can get to that in a few minutes. Both of our dogs are getting restless. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why they're making on-screen appearances in our chats.
They've had it.
Something that we're not, the guy who won this category 2 years ago, Rami Malek, dropped out last year immediately after winning. Does he have a chance at all?
I wish he did, because I think I know he doesn't. I wish he did, because you can tell if you've seen him, if you've watched the series, he's been paying attention to Christian Slater, because he subtly starts mimicking his movements and facial gestures when he's Mr. Robot, or the Christian Slater character, which I think is a very interesting twist on it. But he's going to be a movie star, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I don't think he's getting it. One more thing I'll say about this category is I do think Tom is right. I think that we've seen Sterling K. Brown win everything, and we've seen Milo Ventimiglia rarely get nominated. So I don't think there's actually going to be as much of a vote split as I would hope there would be.
Do you think there might just be a fatigue for him? Because, Dennis Franz, the first year of the SAG Awards, was in a very similar situation. He won an Emmy, he won the Globe, he won the SAG Awards. He lost the Emmy following up. And I know that was a tape system, but at a certain point, I know you don't want me to do this anymore. At a certain point, I think people just know you've won. They know you've won something. And he's definitely at that point where he's won something.
I think there's more fatigue for Veep and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. For drama, go ahead, Tom.
But I think this is a category that's ripe for a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's squishy for Liev Schreiber, squishy for Freddie Highmore, squishy for Jason Bateman. We may have somebody out of the blue, and I can't wait.
I know, it's going to be a fun year.
Now, Tom, who do you have for your 6 drama actresses in lead?
Drama actresses, we've got Elizabeth Moss out in front. followed by Claire Foy. Carrie Russell, I think, has moved up in my predictions. I have her third now, with Evan Rachel Wood behind. Evan Rachel Wood has had a very interesting year. She got nominated for pretty much mostly a passive role in the first season, and she's so active now that I think voters will pay attention. I've got Sandra Oh up there. I think she will make it because she is an Emmy favorite. But my sixth is Mandy Moore. I think that scene, by the vending machine and inside Jack's room during the Super Bowl episode, she just tore it up. And so many people saw that, and probably so many people were surprised that Mandy Moore did this, that they'll reward her with the nomination. So those will be my six.
And Zach, do you agree?
I have the same six.
Okay.
I would say that. Since Killing Eve is so popular, there's also Jodie Comer in that category. We've seen two lead actresses or lead actors from the same show get nominated in the same category. So if Killing Eve is as popular as we say it is, does she either A, become the seventh nominee a la Milo Ventimiglia last year, or does she knock somebody out? And looking at these contenders, I guess she would either knock out Evan Rachel Wood or even Mandy Moore if there are still some people who, despite her obvious talent in the show, still cannot get past the fact that she's a former pop star turned actress.
But she's so far past that. I mean,
I agree with you, but sometimes
I know. I'm just saying.
What I want to say in terms of Elizabeth Moss, we're all predicting to repeat again. But I would look out for both Claire Foy and Carrie Russell because they are both, they're both, competing in that. Hey, this is the last time you're ever going to have a chance to reward me for this role. And we've seen that work for people like John Hamm, for instance, even like Maggie Smith for Downton Abbey. We brought up Kyle Chandler before. So I don't think that Elizabeth Moss necessarily has this in the bag. And one more person I'll bring up. Well, I guess two. Emilia Clarke, who I don't know if she's actually going to do it. It's going to depend on how much Emmy love they have. But also, Tatiana Maslany for the last season of Orphan Black. Claire Danes, again, in Homeland, gets nominated all the time. And I guess we'll have to also look out for Viola Davis as well for How to Get Away with Murder. Those are all people who were not, she was nominated last year. But I think those six are what I'm sticking with.
Claire Danes finally did a Gold Derby chat this year. So I think maybe she's upset that she got dropped last year at the Emmys.
Well,
this is such a stronger category than Best Actor.
Yeah. I have Claire Foy winning. I think Netflix is in it to win it. They're finally really campaigning for a lead race. They want it so badly to finally win a lead acting race, and this is their best chance to do it. I think the fact that it was Netflix who gave her the difference in pay between herself and Matt Smith is very telling. It wasn't the production studios. Netflix wrote her a check. So Netflix is definitely out there trying to get her to win. I would love for Carrie Russell to win, but I think her best chance was on her first nomination when she was overdue. She's never been nominated before. I think if one of them ended up dead, they probably would win this. I mean, seriously, I would have been telling them, please have them shoot me in the head. Please let me die like some gruesome death. Because I think if one of them would have shot the other in the head, he would probably, they'd both be very serious threats for Emmys. And depending on the order you're watching this in, I fear for Sandra Oh that the show premiered too late to make the buzz. So I have Emilia Clarke in there. Yes, I'm digging my heels in since this was partially my idea. But I do think like if they had, I think they should have known if we've got Sandra Oh on a BBC America show, we've got something. They should have waited till the fall and really, really built the momentum to getting her that win for the first season. Yeah. So I think she's going to have to probably wait for the second season.
Yeah, one person that we haven't mentioned, I think even Zach missed, was Laura Linney for Ozark, who actually got a SAG nomination out of nowhere. And, Laura Linney, she always gets in for everything. And, like, she got in over Kerry Russell. She got in over Mandy Moore. Most people who were in contention. So I had her in for the longest time. But I guess what's happened is the Emmy season, or the lead up to whatever you want to call it, Emmy season, has just gone on so long that I've kind of lost my mind. So now I have Maggie Gyllenhaal in my predictions for The Deuce. Because
are you guys drawing names at random? Like, you gonna tell me you have Katrina Balfe in there next, Riley?
Never.
I'll never tell you that.
But I will stick all of their fans on you.
I do think Maggie Gyllenhaal is giving, kind of a brave performance. And I feel like there's some appreciation for women who have to put up with being in a man's world, like how she's playing a prostitute and how she's working with James Franco. And I feel like she's well respected in general.
If this category was as weak as Best Actor, I could definitely see her getting in. This is a tough group of people to get into.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, Jodie Comer, I think maybe if one of them had gone lead, one of them had gone supporting, they both could get in. But especially with such a late premiere date, I think it might be hard.
Yeah, if Bo gets in, it's going to be because of name recognition.
Yeah, I mean, she was the first person nominated for Grey's Anatomy for their half a season, but that was after Sideways. And
yeah,
I just think that if she had, I just really wish she should have debuted in the fall, because they would have had all year to write all of those articles about her being the first Asian actress nominated, first Asian actress probably to win the Globe for Best Actress. They would have been able to really build this up to the point where it was like, Viola Davis winning the first season. It was just a foregone conclusion by that point. And I hope so, but I'm not that optimistic of a person, I guess.
Okay.
Now, Zach, for drama supporting actor, do you feel that's a strong category like lead actress, or, kind of more of a barren one like lead actor?
Jeez.
I mean, I think it's kind of a barren one. Just a bit of a barren one. My God, let me count the number of 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 out of the 7 who got in last year are gone for some reason or another, leaving us with David Harbour and Mandy Patinkin, who I'm kind of Mandy Patinkin. I feel like isn't a safe bet to get in here, even with all the people out.
He comes in and out, and there's no logic to it whether he's had a good season or not. Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't in the first season, which he was great in. He's in seasons 2 and 3. Then he's out until season 6. When Claire Danes and the show gets out, what the hell? I've got David Harbour. I've got Peter Dinklage. I've got Justin Hartley, which I could just as easily see not happening. I think it would be really heartbreaking because, my God, I mean, that man has campaigned for an Emmy like it's nobody's business.
And he has the kind of episode under the panel system that would win him.
I mean,
he gives you the big speeches. He's drunk. He's
on drugs. He's crying over his father. I mean, it's like watching a frickin' 4-hour long day's journey into night and all the 45
Did it feel like 4 hours for you?
A little bit. I mean, with all those commercials. After that, I really, I'm rooting for Noah Emmerich and the Americans. I think if there was ever a year that he could get in, it would be this one. The fact that so many people were talking about not just the finale, but his scene in the finale could help him get over the top. I think that, Anthony Hopkins surprised everybody last year by getting nominated an actor. I could see him getting into supporting actor. I don't buy Noah Schnapp. I don't see that happening. Nikolai Coster-Waldau could happen, but I'm not sold on it. If I'm Hulu, I am really hoping for one of these Handmaid's Tale guys to get in, particularly Joseph Fiennes. If I'm Netflix, I'm rooting for Matt Smith and The Crown. If I'm FX, I'm wondering if Brendan Fraser can get in for Trust.
Are you going to go through every network?
One person who could definitely get in, who I'm thinking about putting into my predictions is Richard Schiff in The Good Doctor. You know, former Emmy winner. Doesn't matter how good or bad the show is, I guess. If the category is this week, I could see him sneaking in there.
How about John Voight?
Oh, I think his
No.
performance at the Republican National Convention.
Is he still a
2 years ago-
Republican?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, then that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's just this side of James Woods.
Which is a
I
shame.
do think
This
that, like,
liberal firebrand. I'm sorry.
For Justin Hartley and for Nikolai Coster-Waldau, if they can't get in with all of those people out, then we have 2 new entries in the Slap the Stud. Because really, both of them have great episodes. That finale for Nikolai is amazing. That last scene. Of course, his problem is he's never going to get past Peter Dinklage. I think Peter Dinklage is going to win this again, personally. And I think that the problem with Joseph Fiennes is he's not a villain you love. He's a villain you hate. Like, I want to hurt him physically a lot of the time because he's either so passive and weak, or he's doing something so just disgusting that I just can't take it. And I agree with you on the Noah Schnapp, and I know Anthony Hopkins probably is going to get in, but I would love to be surprised and see John McLaren, who gives the best performance on Westworld this season. And he would actually have a reason to thank his mother because she taught him to speak that language. I think it's Sioux. I'm not 100% sure. So I would really, really love to know they're paying attention.
It's a stunning performance. I think that if they were paying attention, but I'm not sure they are paying attention.
I know. I just, it would be, as far as that, this is the one category. This is one of 3 categories without one of 2 or 3 categories without a minority actor in the top 6.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be that I know the category's never had an African American winner, but wouldn't it be amazing that the first Native American actor nominated for a continuing series was in this kind of a category where there's 4 times the amount of competition here? I just think that would be, I know from his retweets, he would be just in awe of that.
He'd be in heaven. I think a vote for Anthony Hopkins for this season is lazy. Just on name recognition. I just hope that doesn't happen.
Honestly, just in that one episode and that was it, he could have won guests. I think if he was just in that one episode with Jeffrey Wright where he's they're in his mind and everything, that would have been enough. He could have won guests. Right. I didn't need him for the rest of the season. I liked him being shot in the head and being done. I think there's something.
I knew he was
I remember when people died. Yeah, but remember when people died on TV and then they didn't go haunt people for 2 seasons afterwards?
13 Reasons Why.
No, I'm not saying not the 13 Reasons Why. But I'm the Leftovers did that. They did that on Bloodline.
Hey, maybe Anthony Hopkins can be this year's Ben Mendelsohn.
Don't even say that.
No,
well, I'm rooting for Noah Emmerich to win. That's.
I think Noah Emmerich, if this was the penultimate season, could have gotten in. But I think since it's the final season, it's going to be tough for him.
I know. But it's one of those things where it's the category is so, I don't want to say it's weak because all these guys are really good. It's just that there's no, it's not filled with obvious, yes, those are the people who are going to get nominated. You know what I mean? There's no really strong contenders in that way.
I do agree with you about Brendan Fraser. I think his Me Too moment.
Yes. He
really could get, the actors could want to just give him a hug and say, you know what, thank you for standing up for it. People have won Golden Globes for worse reasons than what happened to him. But
that's true.
I think we will, of the disaster, which is Trust, I think he is the best part of the show. Mm-hmm. He gives this kind of bombastic performance that's.
Yeah. He might get some votes for the hat. But I think for me, the Mandy Patinkin, I'm including him, but it's for the same reason I'm including Liev Schreiber up top. It's just kind of, okay, here he is again. Emmerich would just thrill me. That would be just terrific. The other folks, actually, I don't hate villains who you hate, and I have Fiennes in third.
Ooh.
Ugh. I just want to like hurt him physically. Like I just want to see him castrated on the show.
He's a super nice guy in real life. I'll have to say. I've met him a couple of times this show.
I know.
So
I'm sure he's very.
That is
charming.
some really good acting. Let me tell you.
But the fact that you hate him so much, Amanda, that's good acting.
But that wouldn't make me want to vote for him. Like I want to never see him again. Personally, I think I can't pronounce his last name, who plays her husband.
See, I don't understand how Alexander Skarsgård got so far when he had a character that you just hate and he's not, mustache twirling. I think the same thing could happen with Joseph Fiennes. I think another thing is that, we talked about in the last video about how out of all the new shows from last year, which show is going to do better in nominations this year? And the answer was The Handmaid's Tale. And The Handmaid's Tale already did exceptionally well in the acting categories last year, winning 3 categories and getting nominations for Ann Dowd and Samira Wiley that were not favored at all. And in hindsight, it's kind of surprising that Joseph Fiennes didn't get in because he is the bigger name. He was, the obvious man of the cast if you were going to nominate one of them. So I do have him in. And I actually do think that we should watch out a little for, Oti Fagbennel and Max Minghella even. I mean, if you go back to Downton Abbey when they had their second season and you look at Gold Derby's odds, we had Maggie Smith in first place. We thought obviously she's going to get nominated. Who we didn't have was Hugh Bonneville. Only 43 people predicted him. We didn't have Joanne Froggatt. Only 13 people predicted her. Brendan Coyle, 17 people. And Jim Carter, who would go on to get 4 nominations, only 8 people out of all of Gold Derby predicted these nominations. So sometimes they love a show and they just, they vote for it as many times as they can, even more than we think is possible.
I think episode 9 might have disqualified him and Yvonne Strahovski. I think that was just what happens in that episode. For me personally,
Tom O'Brien, what were your other 3 that you were predicting?
I have David Harbour on top, followed by Dinklage, then Fiennes. I have Nikolai Coster-Waldau on 4th. Justin Hartley I have in 5th only because of the effort. And I Mandy Patinkin in 6th, but I would be thrilled if Noah Emmerich got in.
And Justin Hartley's he's very charming. So if he's out there trying to get this like Milo last year, he's going to do it because he's like, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to say I'm too cool for this. I love that because, some of those people are like, oh, it's just the work. No, not when all your co-stars are getting nominated. And he was a good sport last year and everyone else got something but him. So. Well,
and Susan Kelechi Watson and Toby, what was that? Whatever, Toby.
Yeah. We do have the odd person like Kristen Davis or Matthew Fox who does have to wait like 6 seasons or whatever until their final season and then they break in. So I could see Noah Emmerich get a nomination like that, especially if we're thinking that The Americans has an uptick in general, gets back into series, is maybe competitive for a Matthew Rhys win. It would follow that logic, and especially with the open category. A category that's a lot more competitive is drama supporting actress. Amanda, you wanted to talk about this badly, so why don't you start us off?
I have Ann Dowd, Tandy Newton, Chrissy Metz, Lena Headey, and then right now I'm debating who either to take out Millie Bobby Brown or Alexis Bledel and put in Vanessa Kirby because I think that BAFTA win is going to give her the momentum to get in. I think she's going to sneak into the top 6 this year, and I mean the Crown has not gone on like this big winning streak at the BAFTAs. So I think her win really proves that they're watching the show, and she's the MVP of season 2. Like she really dialed it up. I'm going to miss her next year, but at least we have Helena Bonham Carter who could definitely do crazy. So I just don't know. I just don't know which of those 2 personally. But I could see Millie Bobby Brown falling out because it might be like, okay, it's the adult time now. And I think her episode that she would submit is the worst episode of the year. I hate to say it, but it's a complete waste of time. It really, really is. I don't need to see teenagers on a heist.
Yeah, it's tricky because like, this is such a competitive category. We have all the people coming from last year, and then we have the Game of Thrones people coming in. They got 3 nominated last time. And I would say last year it actually resulted in the biggest snub of the nominations when, SAG nominee dropping down to supporting. Winona Ryder was snubbed. Zach.
He should have stayed in lead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gone back there, which I guess we forgot to mention.
If she had stayed there the first season, she would have gotten in. She would have at least been nominated. But it's her character's not enough of a focal point like it was last year, playing the grieving, crazed mother trying to figure out what happened to her son.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, how are you feeling about this category?
I think there is the possibility that, excuse me, Handmaid's Tale could be like Game of Thrones this year and get in 3 supporting actresses. Like we've said, if they like a show, they're just ticking it off in as many slots as they can. Last year it got 2. It got Ann Dowd, obviously, who won, who I think is in line to repeat again, possibly. We've switched out Samira Wiley for Alexis Bledel. I think she's getting in. And I think that Yvonne Strahovski has a really good shot of getting in. It's crazy that she didn't get in last year, but
if episode 9 had never aired, or I think it's a very sympathetic performance up until episode 9, where this woman wants to be a mom.
But again,
a lot of people can sympathize with that, but that just went too far.
But again, I mean, if they're voting for the show, I think that she could go along for a wave of that. And your feelings are correct, I think, but I think there's also the people who do love the show. You know what I mean?
I still like the show. I'm just saying.
But I mean, maybe people who do think that, like, who weren't bothered by that in the same way that you were, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's probably, it's certainly reactionary. It gets a strong emotional response from you. I think you can argue about whether or not it was if it was too far. But for some people,
I think this year, with like all the Me Too and the Time's Up and every horrible story we've heard, and it's not their fault. I'm sure they probably shot it before that happened. I just think it just kind of, it just is a little too much.
I don't know. You do have people like Ann Dowd and Lena Headey who keep getting in, who are playing, horrible people as well.
I love Ann Dowd. If you're a villain, that is the way to make an entrance, that entrancing June. Because once you see just like the back of her, you're like, oh yeah, that's such her character. That's such an Aunt Lydia thing to round them all up and let them piss their pants. Like, she doesn't have to do a lot.
So Zach, who else did you have?
So I've got Thandie Newton and I've got Chrissy Metz. And I'm with you, Amanda. I think Vanessa Kirby could probably get in, but I mean, I'm debating whether or not to take out Lena Headey or Millie Bobby Brown. Now, Lena Headey gets in every year, so it seems like she should get in this year. But I wonder if,
although she's only 3 out of 6. So.
Right? Yeah. I mean, if Game of Thrones has like a significant drop off in acting nominations, possibly she could be hurt by that. But again, as we've said before, they don't have to stick with 6. They can nominate 7 or 8 or maybe even 9. So it might be a moot point about who gets left out. In which case, you might as well go ahead and predict Uzo Aduba for Orange is the New Black.
I mean, we all like last year we kept predicting Thandie Newton, and I feel like a little betrayed because like I love her so much on that show, and I think it would be ironic after we all got off that train that she wins this year. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they spell her name correctly. Like
Ben Mendelsohn. Tom, who do you have in your 6? And who are you leaving out? Maybe that's the more important question.
I'm yes. On the fence for me is Millie Bobby Brown and Yvonne Strahovski. And that is that. And I think I'm going to take out Millie Bobby Brown. I think Stranger Things has cooled off enough, and The Handmaid's Tale timing is much better. And I think if any time that Strahovski would get in, despite what you think of episode 9, I think actors will recognize the skill of what she did, that turn. So I think she gets in.
Minus episode 9, I personally
isn't it 10 with the rape? I don't know.
No,
like
9
ceremony?
9's the rape, and then 10 is when she sees her daughter, June.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's, Dowd, I think, is ahead. When Tandy Newton opened her mouth and started speaking fluent Japanese, she had me.
When she picked up that sword, I'm like, why are you cutting? I want to see her fight everybody. I love her so much in that show. I want my $15 back from seeing Solo because I only went because she was in it, and then I got ripped off.
Yes. We all did. But she's had a good year, and I have her in second place. From that point on, it's kind of dicey for me. Lena Headey, yes, just because of the repetition of nominations. Bladell, former winner. Chrissy Metz, not prominent this year, but the spectacular debut season she had. If she didn't win last year, I'm not sure she's got a chance here.
Her is the season that I think was too stereotypical. Like when she announced she was pregnant, I'm like, she's not going to make it to. I really wanted them not to like do that kind of a thing where like, I need one of them to have a happy ending.
Yeah, I'm not invested in this. Yeah. So I'm going to add Strahovski for sixth place. So it's Dowd, Newton, Headey, Metz, and Strahovski.
Cool. I've got Dowd, Bladell, Millie Bobby Brown, Tandy Newton. And then for my last two, I have Vanessa Kirby because I do think there was a lot more interest in her character this season. On Wikipedia, in the month after The Crown aired, the most read articles were Bitcoin, the new Star Wars movie, and Princess Margaret, as people were so taken by Vanessa Kirby's performance. And in sixth place, I have Yvonne Strahovski because, like I said, The Handmaid's Tale was huge last year, and logically, it would be even bigger this year. And people do seem to be citing her performance episode after episode, and she didn't get in last year, but I think part of that was because people had to discover her character, where Samira Wiley, maybe they knew from Orange is the New Black and out from, whatever else she's been doing as a character actress. So who I don't have is Chrissy Metz for This Is Us, because I don't think, she didn't have her big debut this year. And I do think that sometimes they pay attention to when people don't have such a standout season, like on Transparent, how Gabby Hoffman missed most recently, or Archie Panjabi, who was another breakthrough for The Good Wife in this category a few years ago. Suddenly she was beating up her ex-husband or killing him or something, and then they dropped her. Chrissy Metz, what she did was not that bad, but I do think that she was overshadowed by a lot of other storylines and maybe wasn't even that prominent in her own. I don't have Lena Headey in because even though she does get nominated, or she was nominated for the last few seasons, I don't think that inertia necessarily helps her since she wasn't nominated last year and Game of Thrones has been gone forever. There's also a long history of people being left off for penultimate seasons just because that's when shows are kind of getting old. And then they get brought back the next year. And I have another list. Yeah, so we have Elizabeth Moss, Maggie Smith, Jane Krakowski, James Gandolfini, Edie Falco, Ray Romano, Martin Sheen, Allison Janney, Peter Carauza, and Kelsey Grammer. These are all landmark performances in big shows that the Emmys loved, and they were just left off for.
Hey Riley, can I ask you a quick question? I'm not doubting you. I think you make a good point. But do you think the fact that she is probably the choice of the three from Game of Thrones submitted, that might help her still stay in? Because it's not like I think Maisie Williams or, unfortunately, Sophie Turner are going to take.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
Because now she doesn't even have to worry about Emilia Clarke. So she's kind of like the one, I think. That kind of helps her, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe.
I would have liked to have seen her get a nomination at SAG at some point because,
when she gets nominated at SAG, and if Peter Dinklage is nominated, they're going to win Ensemble. That will be the year to finally pick them to win Ensemble. Breaking Bad style.
Okay, let's see. Is there anybody else in this category?
Well, I guess there's the two women from The Americans, which is Margo Martindale and our old pal, and Holly Taylor. I mean, if The Americans does have one of those like breakthrough seasons, then I don't think it's likely, but I think Margo Martindale did win 2 Emmys for this for this role. So
And she is now a verb. So, you know.
Yeah.
So
But wouldn't she stop Ann Dowd from winning again? Like, we can't have the twins together.
Margo Martindale is another one who is nominated every year except the penultimate season.
yeah. Exactly. Well, I guess, I mean, if they're nominated against each other, maybe Thandie Newton will win. I don't think anybody will argue with that, or Vanessa Kirby. No.
Okay, I looked up one name all throughout is, if I'm wrong about This Is Us, then Susan Kelechi Watson could get in.
Yeah.
Who?
Ooh.
I'm just trying to like find. I didn't hear the name. I'm sorry.
I thought that was
Susan-
shade.
No, I didn't mean to throw. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just asking seriously. What was the name?
Susan Kelechi Watson.
It's
Okay.
good shade though.
Yeah.
I'm not. I would love to see Ann Torv if Mindhunter is really going to have this big breakthrough that we're not expecting. Personally, I would love to see Anna Torv get in, but she's in 25th place, behind Maggie Siff from Billions, which I have never seen. So there you go.